Test, test, test. Looks like we're going live. We are. Good morning, good afternoon. I'm Matt and welcome to this live unboxing of a Reptile Swallow S670 FPV flying wing. Now this is being broadcast live and I do have a little bit of housekeeping to sort out first. And yes, I've got word. And you'll find out why that's important in just a moment. Now, right. Let's go through the housekeeping first. Now, you will notice on my left-hand side, or your right-hand side, is a live chat. This is being recorded live. If you're watching the recorded version, if you have any questions or comments about anything which we've covered, please just ask in the comments section underneath this video. Now, a point which I'd like to stress that this model was bought out of my own money for my own abuses, and I will be abusing it. You'll also notice that we got the S800 on the desk. And the reason being is that this, the Reptile S800, the Sky Shadow is made, and the 670 Swallow Wing is made by the same company. So with that said, we need to just push these out the way a touch because we'll get on to the topic of the unboxing in just a few moments. Sacred Gallows, Martin, squash box. Not that bad actually. It's been in, no, it's fine. It's an EPP model, it'll be fine. I've got a, what was it? I'll tell you what, it's up there on the shelf. It was one of the S800s for a giveaway at some point in the near future. And that was properly mullered, but it's an S800, it's made out of EPP. It'll be fine, almost all the bits are in there. So howdy everybody who's on live. I'm assuming the audio is good enough, so I will just turn up the microphone a touch, so it should be a little bit louder for you. Thank you for your comment. E.T., thank you for that, sir. Right, we do have some housekeeping to cover first, and I've got some notes here to go through. Number one, live chat, just ask, that side of the screen. Number two, I feel it's really important for me to stress this, that model was bought out of my own money for my own abuses. The links in the video description are affiliate links, so if you use them and then go on and buy a product from Banggood, you will be supporting this channel, something which I like to be 100% clear about, something which gets lost in other places. Right, there's also, like I said, there's a bit of housekeeping, okay? Now, I read a comment earlier today about tactful reviews, okay? Some of the models which we've had here lately have just been good, you know? And I'm sure some of you are bored of me saying this, but we are in a really, really good time for RC modelers right now. There are some fantastic models kicking around for not a lot of money. This one, I think was, I can't remember how much it was, $50, give or take a few. $50, so that's like 40 quid or less. By the way, I'm based in the UK. Just looking around my office right now, Micro Sky Munter, corking model. I picked up two of those for $23 in the Banggood sale. The Nano Talon, absolutely love mine. I love mine so much, I bought a second one, which is up there. Mini Talon, 29 quid. I was trying to do dollars conversion. 29 quid out of the EU Banggood warehouse. Absolutely brilliant. And there's a whole raft of other models here. We are in really good times as RC modelers, and we are very much spoiled for choice. So that's something which I put myself in your shoes. I don't know if this model's going to be any good. So let's take a look at it. And remember, we always hold off final judgment on a new wing until we actually get it in the sky, because it could be the cheapest model in the world, but then it could be the crappiest. It could be rather expensive, and then it may fly. We don't know, okay? But generally speaking, we are in a very good time, and there have been a onslaught of new models coming out, and that for me, and I'm sure for you, is happy days. Next topic, which I've got here, just a couple of other minor points, is those of you looking forward to an RC coffee chat tomorrow. By the way, we normally run a live RC coffee chat every Wednesday morning. There won't be one this week. I'm otherwise engaged, and I won't be actually here in the office. I need to nip out, and I won't be back until Thursday. So apologies, no RC coffee chat. So give you a heads up on that one. And a last one, which is just a daft point, which is if you want to see the maiden of the Reptile Swallow S670, don't forget to press the subscribe button underneath this video. Now, on the topic of doing previous reviews, is that you may have literally just seen the video which was posted yesterday on the comparison of the W9S camera and the, what was it, H9, ET. In the comments down here, I'm sure ET will vouch for it in a moment, is that the H9 was a really good camera. It did perform really quite well. Now, I couldn't think for the life of me how I should send off a bad product. So I was thinking to myself, and I did actually just nip in the office, out of the office for a pee just before we went live, and I found this piece of wood on the side, and I thought the best way of sending off a piece of crap was to review it correctly and to ensure that you kind of get my point, is that when it comes to bad products, we will trash them when required. So apologies, that was probably a bit loud on the old camera, but from time to time we do get a bad one, and that's what happens to them. Or we stick them in a cement mixer and set fire to them. So you've only just worked that out, ET. Right, let's get on to the topic. The Reptile Swallow 670. Now, why is it called a Swallow? No idea. Why is it called 670? Well, that's the wingspan. So the wingspan is 670 millimeters, 67 centimeters, or about 26 inches. So this one, we are expecting it to be smaller than the Reptile S800. Again, that's the reason why I've got the Reptile S800 out on the desk, so that we can do a direct comparison between the two. So let's take a look to see what we get in the box. That's what we get in the box. Actually, I'm going to put that one down out the side so it doesn't end up confusing matters for you. Right. First off, moulded EPP. There are a couple of different types of foam out there. There is EPS, which is like really, really small polystyrene balls, very, very fragile, and when it does break, it's a very clean break, but do expect lots of foam snow to go everywhere. So that's EPS. You then have EPO foam. Those of you which have seen a mini Talon before or a micro Sky Hunter, that's what EPO foam is. And then there's another league which is EPO foam. Now this is molded EPO foam, and the density on these things are absolutely crazy. I'm sure you've seen me smash these on the desk. They're not breaking. I've still got it down here. Sorry, I've got a pile of models which need to get repaired. That was the Eachine Blackwing model, which I bought a short while ago. You can see the state of this. And again, if you can't see the state of it, have a look at that on the camera. It is absolutely mullered. The last time it's FPV Maiden, I stuffed it in a tree. Then Andrew took it for a flight and also stuffed it in a hedge as well. It's been seriously abused, but this is molded EPP. It's tough as old boots. So those of you which maybe seen the Reptile S800 wing, exactly the same stuff. Really, really robust and literally just tough as old boots. In fact, the last time I flew this one, I launched inverted. I flew it mostly inverted with a few unscheduled landings, and then landed it properly inverted. So EPP, really, really nice foam, as in that it's heavier than EPO foam. It's heavier than EPS foam, but because of its density, it is very, very tough foam, and that's what this wing is made out of. Now, I am just going to have a quick look. Manuals, yeah, Joe, poor Blackwing. You may say poor Blackwing, but that was my sole intention for that wing, was just to abuse it. In short, and that's what I've promptly done. We've stuffed hot glue in it, it's got tape on it, and it's still going now. It's waiting a new motor to go in the back. I nicked the motor to put on the Twin Tech Sumo to go in there. So yeah, that's the reason why it's just lost that. That's the reason why I bought it, was just to literally just abuse it. Now you'll see me, I'm just cutting off the winglets because I want to see if I can just mop this together so you can see what's going on with it. Again, build on this one is going to be a few minutes really. It's just a bit of sanding and gluing and off you go. So let's have a quick look at the parts which we got. I am just going to walk away from the screen a moment because I'm here looking for my multimeter to see if that's carbon fibre or glass fibre spars which we've got. Now if you didn't know, the difference is that glass fibre doesn't conduct electricity, whereas carbon fibre does conduct electricity, which that does. So if that piece is carbon fibre, I'm guessing, yeah, the rest of it, by the looks, it's carbon fibre. Now some pilots, I'll inadvertently call them pro pilots, and let's be honest, I'm not a pro pilot, I'm just somebody who just frankly takes the piss. It would say that carbon fibre interferes with your receiver and your FPV transmitter. Now the reality is that many of you already know that I like a lot of carbonara in my models, and I've never noticed an issue with putting carbon fibre in a wing or any other model for that matter. So carbon fibre, it's lighter, it's stronger, happy days, and crucially they've included a tube, and believe it or not, in most instances a tube for a main spar is stronger than a solid rod, if that makes any sense. So quickly just having a look at your chat a moment. Black, yeah, it's still alive. Is the sparrow about the same size as the Blackwing? Not too sure. I tell you what, I'll put the Blackwing down that side and we'll compare it to that one as well. Again, this is getting really nice now because we've got a whole collection of models here which we can compare. Let's go and see if we can put this thing together very, very quickly. It does look like a very simple build. We've got, what we got going on here? Yeah, we got a long main spar. I'll tell you one thing which I don't like already is that main spar is very, very loose. Now, I don't know if that's very, very loose because we've got some components in the bag. We'll have a look in a moment, but for now, I am just going to stuff them together so you get to see what this thing actually looks like, and we can also then do a comparison against the S800. And by the looks of it, I need to get the craft knife out as well. The Blackwing is 670, so technically the Blackwing is a bigger wing by 10 centimeters or about 2 inches. Is that about right? Something like that. Yeah, it looks like you've got to do a tiny bit of trimming up on the molded EPP. One curiosity I've just noticed on here is that we do have magnets. I hope that's coming out on the camera okay. Is that we do have magnets on here. So it looks like this wing could be set up so that the wings are actually detachable. And there is some Velcro pointing out the bottom as well. So that is a curiosity. I didn't actually pay much attention to the actual description as far as taking the wings on and off. But there is definitely a magnet on there. And actually, oh, there's some Velcro on here as well. Ah! So that is cool. I'm just having to trim this up quickly so we can have a quick look. Now, we've also got to think to ourselves that this is a 26-inch wing. So it is going to be nimble, is the word which I'm looking for. That's code for it could be quite a handful on a windy day. So those of you which are perhaps, if you're being honest to yourself, less experienced pilots, which are not going to cope very well with a right handful, then this model may not be the best one for you. The same for the Blackwing, which we saw a few moments ago. Something like the Reptile S800 would be a better choice for you because it's a bigger wing, it will be more stable, and you'll get better value of money out of it to begin with, and of course you can then progress to a model like this. So I am just gonna, I've got a bit of masking tape down here. No, I've got a bit of black tape, so I'll quickly just mop this thing up using tape. Before I actually go any further, massive note for you, I will be using E6000 glue to glue mine up, but do note you could use hot glue if you wanted to, but make sure what you do is get yourself a sanding pad and sand up anywhere and everywhere where you're going to be gluing. And the reason for that is very simple, is because the EPP foam, it does have some mold release on it. It is a very shiny material, so if you've got water on it, the water just runs off it, for example. So just go careful of that. So make sure you sand the surfaces so that there's going to be a good adhesion of the glue as well. Oh hell, magnets, high speed disaster. Yeah, I'm not a fan of detachable wings, and the reason for that is you hit a tree, it falls off. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that at all. So in my case, I will be sticking mine on. So there we go. Oh, should have put a bit of tape on. That's the kind of size which we're dealing with. I haven't even looked in the fuselage yet. One thing which I do like, just from a practical point of view, the servos are mounted on the top of the wing. For example, the not Reptile, the Zeta Science Z84, that has the servos mounted underneath. And the same even like for the Phantom wing, which is always a problem if you're landing on grass. So the servos being mounted on the top, that's happy days. One thing for you to go careful of, or to be aware of, is that with the Reptile S800, their push rods are made from cheese, and I had to put some carbon fibre rod on there and then some heat shrink, so I'll put that up on the camera. You'll see the pink tube just there, is that I put a piece of carbon rod on it, and then some heat shrink over the top of it just to stiffen it up, because it was just flexing. And again, if it's been overpowered, you need that responsiveness on the model itself. So let's go and pick this one up, and we'll put them side by side. So those of you which have got an S800, you'll now see the size difference between the two. It's definitely a smaller model, okay, by not a fair amount actually. It looks like it's going to be fun. Okay, and also I do like the grey foam. They did, well, the S800, they called it a V2, but to be honest, it's just grey foam. It's like a version 1.2, if that makes sense. And if we do a quick comparison to the Blackwing, now it's a little bit awkward because my Blackwing has had its wings clipped, but the Blackwing should be 10 centimeters wider. Okay, which it doesn't look like on that camera, but you'll have to take my word for me. The Blackwing is about 10 centimeters, or should be 10 centimeters more on the wingspan, but mine had its wings clipped. Let's go and have a look. We do get an alternative little hood section to go on the top of the model. Nice touch. They have already pre-installed the magnets. That is happy days, because fitting magnets is a right pain in the arse. So that's happy days from that point of view. I'm just going to put those around on there. Howdy Jakey, by the way. And Brad has also put a note in there. You could laminate this wing if you were that way inclined. To be honest, if you're not into your laminating, or if you've never laminated the model, well, number one, I got a series on laminating. You can find that on my YouTube channel. Or what you can do is get yourself some decent quality tape. So make sure you get proper sellotape. So buy the proper stuff and then just put some sellotape along the leading edge of your wing, and that will help protect that leading edge of the wing massively. In short, there was a recent incident with the Micro Sky Hunter over there, and I clipped a branch hanging off a tree, and we were going at full knacker, and the model just span round and landed flat on the ground. And I thought, it's going to be foam snow when I walked over there. And it wasn't foam snow at all. It just had a little dent in the leading edge. And that was all down because I just put a piece of sellotape along the leading edge. That does make a huge difference. So happy days. Right, so I'm just keeping an eye on the chat on there. So we do get two lids. We get one with actually not a bad size knacker duct. That's normally one of the things which I pick up is about the ventilation in the model, and generally speaking, for ventilation in the model, whatever size hole you've got in the front of the model, you need 4 times the hole in the back as a general rule of thumb. And this model does, obviously, as pretty much most other models, fail on that account. And we do have a tiny little knacker duct up there on the end. If I turn it around the opposite side, so we can get some air in there. Now, when it comes to the camera mount piece on the top, there is no additional air mount on there, so you'll need to be careful of that, especially if you're going for a high-powered version. So, with that said, we do get a little air vents at the back. It does feel well made. That's always a concern, isn't it? You just never really know what you're getting. Now, they are hinting by both of these canopy pieces is that you are going to have your video transmitter in the actual fuselage area itself. Now, that's going to change for you depending upon your setup. For me, I don't really like the ideas of the wings being held on with Velcro. Oh, there's not a lot of like force to rip them off, unless you obviously hit something. But the reality is I'm likely going to hit something with it, so I'd rather they were glued on. We had some structural rigidity to them. So I will be gluing my wings on. I doubt if I'll be putting the video transmitter in the fuselage. I will probably put it out on one of the wings, the same for the receiver. So that does mean that underneath the wings, I will most likely, I push that over there, put in, well, wherever I can fit it, okay, fit the receiver out on the wings. One thing which I did notice is, well, hopefully it's here in the kit. So let's move my notes out of the way. We do get some instructions and some stickers. Frankly, I'll only read the instructions to find the CG, which is 145 millimeters from the nose, which I hope that's coming out all right. And we do get some stickers, but I'm not really a big fan of stickers. Ah, now that makes sense. You know, I was saying that those spars were a bit sloppy in the middle. That explains why she was so sloppy. I've just found out why. It's because in that bag of goodies, we get a collection. In fact, why have we got two lots? I'm not entirely sure. We get, that's more like it. Ooh, happy days. That's way more like it. There's some thinner ones in there. Yeah, there we go. You do get some carbon tubes in here. Now, obviously, I've not really read the instructions, and that now shows. It looks like, yeah, it is that case because you've got two of those and one of those. Right, you get a rod which you put in the main section. So you get a shorter piece, one bigger at the back, one smaller tube at the front. That goes in the model itself. Then in the wings, you get carbon tube, and it's rolled carbon fiber tube, which that's not coming out of the camera. You just got to take my word for it. It's the nice stuff. And in there, you can then put your spar on it, and that's how you can take your wings on and off. That is actually very well thought out. You've got to give them 10 out of 10 for that, because that's actually a really nice fit on there. And then that now means that when I put that spar down the back, stick those in there. Happy days. Yeah, that works really well. I really like that. And there was two shorter pieces, which I saw in there a few moments ago. Now, I don't know if it's disappeared off my desk or because when I unboxed it, yeah, they're down there on the floor. There are two covers to go over the pieces. So, like I said, I will be using E6000 glue on mine. There's also places up the front for some carbon rod. Let's put those up there. Two pieces for carbon rod up the front edges. There's a funny plate mechanism back there, which I assume we've got in here. Let's have a look what else we've got in the box or in the bag. We get a stupid back. Now, the reason why I'm saying stupid back is because I'm sure on the plug and play version, you will get a flight controller or stabilizer in here. To be honest, we don't get that on there, and all you've got is a back. And when I was reading the instructions online, it pumps out 5 volts and 9 volts for some reason. I don't know why you would want 9 volts, to be honest, but hey ho, I'll stick that in the bag, never to be used again. What else have we got? We got a nice little battery mount, so we'll get to that in a moment. The push rods, excuse me, are mediocre. They're fine. One thing which I do like, and I'm glad that they've included, is the proper control horns. I hope that's coming out. Put that next to my face there. Proper control horns, the ones which actually go through the foam, out the other side, and it does mean that you can use glue to hold them in. For me, that's a big thing. I've seen that. What was it like? The Mini Town, for example, those ones which are only surface mount. Terrible, terrible control horns. Should never be used, never been included in a kit. So we've got decent control horns, and I know it's such a small thing, but it's the small things which mean that you don't end up stuffing your model in a tree. You get an XT60 connector and 2 pieces of pointless wire. You do get a couple of strange, and when I say strange, I mean strange. You get 2 very short servo extension leads, which I assume is to help with the removal of the wings if you're going to go for a detachable wing. But for some strange reason, you do get these, which I'll pop up on the camera. You do get those, which are the wires which are being split out. So I'm not entirely sure the reason for that. Won't ever use them. Velcro battery strap. You do get some screws, a motor mount which goes on the back. Let's have a quick look at the motor mount. So that's always a curiosity. I am just going to get this open. So let's get the multimeter out. There we go. Right, I'll tell you what, that's no good because it's not in inches. You'll have to excuse me a moment. I can find a propeller in the propeller box. Try and get a known size. That's a quad blade that I'll have to do. So you will definitely be able to fit a 5-inch prop on there, and let's see if I've got a 6-inch prop kicking around here somewhere. What size is that? That's a 5x6. Just having a quick look. Yeah, you'll have to take my word for it. You're definitely going to easily fit a 6-inch prop on the back of the model. That's not a problem at all. They have gone with the same kind of little bay. If I can take this off now, and I'll show you the fuselage area. They have gone with the same kind of bay like on the Reptile S800. So that is going to be set up for a quad ESC. Now, for the record, I strongly suggest that you don't use quad ESCs for flying wings or fixed wing models. The reason being, quads have massive quad ESCs. They have lots and lots of airflow over them because they're typically right underneath the propellers. The thing is that a quad ESC is going to be down here. It's not really a high airflow area. It's going to have a plate over the top of it. It's got no airflow over it at all. So go really careful using quad ESCs with fixed wing models, especially if you're going to be pushing the model to the limit. And that said, you basically use a proper plain ESC. I've put links to what I'm going to be using in mine in the video description. Now, one thing which I have just noticed, it does have a really nice little hand mount underneath, which may sound daft, but I'm used to just wing slinging a model, whereas that one, you've got a nice little hand grip and you can lob it. Now, there is a collection of cutout stuff to go in the fuselage, including a carbon fibre motor mount down there, and some other little arms which I'll take a look later, and there's some screws. That is nice that perhaps if you wanted to fit, I hope I'll stick that up that way, is that would be quite nice if you did want to put a flight controller in there. It would be centralised. Now, the hole pattern there is not ideal, so I can see very shortly some 3D printables coming out on Thingiverse for the actual mounting of a flight controller in there. So if you wanted to fit, like iNav, for example, you'd very easily be able to fit a flight controller board in there, whether you even put it on the base or on that little mezzanine area. That would work well. Or of course, you could just fashion something out of a bit of plywood. That would work very well. The camera on the end, for me, Runcam Swift, Mini Swift, I hasten to add, that would fit in there perfectly fine. Again, just any style Runcam would fit in there. Again, if it doesn't fit, you just get the craft knife out and you would make it fit. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to put this back together so you get to kind of see what it's going to look like. I won't do a build video on this one because, frankly, I class it as a bit of a joke and I'd be wasting your time because there's nothing really to build. All you're going to do is glue in a couple of rods either side. It's all self-explanatory. You don't need to look at the manual for this one. It's really straightforward. The tubes, all the bits just kind of go where they fit. So one nice touch, for example, is that you can see very clearly back there on the bottom of the elevon that there's this hole just here, or this recess. Well, if I put that in there, you just need to put a bit of glue in there. And there you go, that's where that piece of carbon fibre strip, well, I presume it's carbon fibre strip, goes down there. It's all super straightforward. There's nothing complex about this build at all. It is, I'm going to class this one as perhaps, oh no, 4 out of 10. It's not hard. It's not a hard build at all. It is just going to be a straightforward build. In fact, the only reason which you might want to give it a 5 out of 10 for build is because maybe if you are going to be something advanced with it, so maybe you do want to get some better separation on your receiver and your video transmitter, that would definitely be a concern. Again, for me, I'd probably want to put it out there on the wings to get some separation. But it is a small little model. Now, I'm just going to quickly weigh it up, and what I'll do, just to be fair, I will put everything in one pile. There's me just put it together, and again, you can see how quickly it goes together. I'll put this in one big pile, including the other lid as well, so you get an idea on the weight. And again, yeah, not a fan of those pieces, so let's get that down and centered. Keep an eye on your chat as well. Tom says, Matt's downfall is trees. If there's one near him, he will hit it. Yeah, guaranteed I'll hit the tree. It's just the way it is. So I've just zeroed that off. So I'm just going to start piling these bits up on here. So it's 34 grams for just the wings. Adding the fuselage, we're up to 85 grams. Now, I am just going to stick everything which came in the bag on the top. So that's the screws, that's the motor mount. There's some more bits of carbon. There we go, another bit of carbon as well. I'm going to chuck that in on top. It says 100 and spare one on top, yeah, 179 grams. So in ounces, that is 6.4 ounces. Now, are you going to get this one realistically under the 250 gram limit for FPV, say within the States or in Canada? Not really. You'd have to use a tiny little motor, tiny little ESC, an all-in-one FPV camera. So yeah, realistically, for you to hit a super light model for 250 grams or less, that's not really going to happen with this one. And I'm glad that it's not done that. And the reason why I'm glad it's not going to do that is because while I was here, in the video description, I've suggested two motors for you. Either the DYS SE2205 2300 kV motor, corking model motors, absolutely brilliant. 6x4 prop on the back, 4S, it's a fucking rocket ship. Or the Emax RS 2205 2300 kV, the same kind of circumstances, absolute corking motor and prop combos. But I did find a NTM prop drive 2836 3000 kV motor. So I'll be putting one of those on the back of here, and we will have nuclear drive for the S670. So I tell you what, if you've got any questions, please ask now. I'm going to have a look at the chat which is going on. And remember, if you've got any questions about this wing, please just ask in the comment section underneath this video, of course, if you're watching the recorded version. Now, let's have a quick look. Alan says in there, absolutely, Alan, again, you can see the chat on the left-hand side of the screen. Quad ESCs are designed to get more airflow. Remember, there is no heatsink on there compared to RC model plane or fixed wing ESCs. They are designed, they have heat sinks on them, so they can run with less airflow. Okay, let's have a quick look at the chat on there. I'm not replying to that one, Joe. Right, let's have a quick look. Yeah, Joe says you can use quad ESCs, but a little bit overrated. Also, make sure you get, if you're going to use them, maximum airflow. Make sure they're on the top of the model, not hidden underneath the model. Remember, heat rises and it's in a little well down there, and there ain't that much air going in the front. So yeah, go really careful if you're using quad ESCs. Let's have a quick look. George suggests push a set of 4 half-cut toothpick pieces of foam in the winglets, and it's then glued for life. So what George is saying there, in the winglets, glue on your winglets, and then put in some toothpicks in the ends of the winglets. That will give them some extra rigidity. Yeah, George, really, really good idea. I know that with my Reptile S800, I clipped out a bad landing and the winglet fell off. And I even used decent glue and sanded the surfaces with that as well. So yeah, really good tip there, George. 10 out of 10 for that one. Howdy, Austin, by the way. It does look like it will be a good tree smasher and definitely a hedge smasher, says Austin in the chat. Austin, I agree. We'll get this one out on a Sunday shortly, I'm sure. Let's have a quick look. Joe says, yeah. Oh, by the way, another benefit, which is actually, which is brought up in the chat, a reason not to use a quad ESP controller is very, very rarely quad ESCs come with a BEC built in. Most fixed wing ESCs, yes, they're slightly bigger, yes, they weigh more, but don't forget they've got a great big heatsink on top, and they do have a BEC, so they will provide the 5 volts for your receiver and also your servos on here as well. Now, if you're going for a light setup, you would get away with a 2 amp BEC. Personally, I will need a 3 amp BEC just for the speed which we're going to do on the back on this one. And Joe, you are absolutely correct. 3000 kV will be whiny. I will stick a 3000 kV motor just on the back, just basically for shits and giggles, to be completely honest with you, just to make something absolutely bonkers. And the reason being is because I do, one thing which I almost forgot, is that I do have a collection of batteries here, and I picked up some Infinity 90C batteries off Banggood a couple of days back, well, about 2 weeks back, and they've worked out really well. So I know that I'll be at least able to get 1 lap that motor and prop combo. So that's actually reminded me, so Joe, thank you for that, is that we will just pop a couple of different batteries in here so that you can have a look just to see whether the lid's going to close or how that's going to work out. So we do have, that's a curiosity. If you were going to be using, now that's an oddity. So that's a 1300 milliampere 3S, and that only just fits up in that nose area. Okay. Now, if we had the other lid on there, so that goes to there, we may, or you may run into CG issues with the battery. Okay, and the reason why you're going to run into CG issues, especially if you use the one with the camera mount on the top, is because that's pushing the battery back. So if I quickly show you, that is as far as you can push the battery with the camera mounted lid on the top. Okay, so what, well, you're kind of stuffed, aren't you? Yeah, you are. There's a bad point. Only just realised it, and it's a practical one, is that you are going to have an issue fitting decent sized batteries in here. And the reason why you're going to have issues is because, in fact, I'm going to come around now just to show it to you, just to make this point, because I think it's a real valid one and something you need to be aware of. So let me put this on the camera. So there we go. You can see up inside of here, okay? You cannot cut that piece there out, and the reason why you can't, or probably shouldn't cut that piece out, is because of the spars which are going to go up underneath, and you'll see how far they're recessed back in there. Okay, so if you cut that out, then you're going to have to do something funky with the spars to bring them further down on here, or if it will even run a spar at all. But the issue is that that is where that lid, okay, so that's a 1300 3S pack which we've got there, is that is pretty much as far close to the front which you can get that battery. Now that does cause an issue, because if you were going to run, say, a flight controller in there on that board in there, by the time, if you were to run a bigger battery, say a 2200 3S pack, is that, look, you are really crammed for space and battery, and I've got no idea whether you're going to hit CG or not. I do suspect we are going to have to put some lead in the nose of this model. Okay, so I think we have been compromised here, because they have designed it so that you can take these wings off. We have been compromised on what we can do as far as battery setup in the nose. So I do already envisage that I'm going to need to put some lead in this nose. Okay, so this is one of the things why I was saying earlier, make sure you hang around, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because we always hold off final judgment until we get the model in the sky, because it could fly like a complete peach, or it could be a complete nightmare just from the practicality. And now I'm actually concerned that I don't think I'm going to be able to fit. Yeah, I'm screwed now, Joe. So Joe, unfortunately, I won't be able to use that 3000 kV motor on the back, because the battery which I was going to use, that super thick high C battery, I just won't be able to get it in there without having to cut part of the lid out, which is yeah, you'll see it just, the lid just won't close with that battery in there. So yeah, that is a bit of a disappointment, if I'm honest. I was going to stupidly overpower it, and I'm going to have to wind back some of my personal plans. In reality, is that if you did just put a quad motor on the back, a little 2205, maybe even an 1806 motor on the back, and go for a lightweight build, you would have fun. And again, you could put even smaller batteries in there and you wouldn't run into an issue. But what I have noticed there is the battery compartment. That is going to be a bit of an issue. I'll tell you what I'm going to do in the video in the Facebook group. Shameless plug for the Faceballs group. In the video description, press show more. There's a link to the Ragnar Nuts off Facebook group. I will take some photographs. I will get the calipers out and do some measurements as well. And I'll go and put some photos in the group for you. And again, like Ken, I know what you're thinking, what to do with yours. To stick a flight controller in there, maybe as an alternative to a Z84. First impressions right now, nowhere near a Z84. Z84 has such a high status, it's almost untouchable. But it does have potential to be broken down. That is a positive. This battery thing is a bit of a weird one. That's why I'm going to say make sure you press the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, because I don't know how this one's going to turn out now. That has thrown me a little bit of a wild card. I'm not going to be able to fit, well, I will be able to fit a 2200 3S in there. I won't be able to fit any of my 4S packs in there because they're just too deep, in short. And we are going to run into issues around the CG, especially if I put a stupidly big motor on the back. So I actually think I'm going to wind back my original intentions and not put a stupidly huge motor on the back and go for a lighter config. So I may end up back up at either, what was it, the SE2205 or the RS2205 motor on it, and go for that route instead. So yeah, curious one. Watch this space. Now, there's me chatting away. Let's quickly look at your comments now. Let's have a quick look. Jake says, is there provision for a HD camera? Yes, Jake, there is. There's two lids which come with it. There's a lid which you can put a HD camera on there, and one which has just got a little knacker ducts on there. Do note that because that one with it has that little recess in there for a HD camera, it does push the battery back. Personally, what I would suggest is using the one with the knacker ducts on the top and then putting the camera on the top, so you don't actually sacrifice any additional battery space again to hit CG. And again, you've seen me unbox this. It arrived here today, so I've not had a chance to weigh any of this thing up, but I do strongly suspect I'll end up having to put some lead in the nose to hit CG. I'll put it this way, I'll be surprised if I don't. So let's have a quick look. Lauren says, I'd rather put a HD on rather than lead. Totally agree with you. I don't like putting lead in the front of a model. Obviously, HD camera is always an easy way of getting some weight into the front of a camera, or just frankly a bigger battery. But we're kind of stuck on this one. It looks like a 3S cell is the biggest battery size which we can get in here. You could potentially get 3 Lion packs. I don't know. Let me just hold on to that for a second. Those 18650 batteries. Let me just go and grab a couple off the sides. I'm just trying to give you options, or potential options, to what could be done around the battery bay. So I've got some 18650 Lion packs. You're going to be stuck. You're going to be limited down to 3S. They only just fit in the nose area, and again, I already know from that lid you're going to have to push it back, and there's no flexibility in there. And again, you're going to end up having to carve out some of the sides. So if you did want to go the 18650 Lion route, you could do it, absolutely sure, but you would want to melt in or cut out some sides recesses in there, so you get a 3S pack in there, or make some strange combo. Yeah, you're going to be very limited in what you can do around that. So that's actually a big negative on that. I wasn't expecting that about this wing at all, to be frankly honest. Sleebad says Z84 for the win. Totally agree. If you don't know what the Z84 is, underneath this video, Matthew Osborne, click on that on the YouTube channel, press the little search icon, type in Z84, potentially one of the best RC models ever made. Corking models, cheap as chips. Right, let's have a quick look. Some of you may have noticed the mascot. Let's not go there on that one. Let's have a quick look at the chat on there as well. Right, I missed everything for after 10 minutes. Sorry, customers. Matt, did you test the Ishin goggles? Yes. Yes, I did test the Ishin goggles. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll quickly grab those. And we're going off topic, so we will wrap up in a moment. Those Ishin goggles, EV100s, not that bad. To be brutally honest, unfortunately, I've lost the video footage from me and Craig on the flight line, so we're going to have to do a separate little review with me and you sat here on the desk. Just quickly on topic on those EV goggles. Okay, number one, I've got a set here to be given away free for the 5,000 subscriber mark, which I will get round to in the next couple of days. I keep saying that, but I will do. Everything else is now arrived. That said, the EV100 goggles, all the doom and gloom which was out there about these goggles, I don't get it. Yeah, the screen size is half the size of a pair of Fat Shark V3s, but they're 1/4 of the price. These cost me $100. My Fat Shark V3s cost me $350 plus an extra $50 on top for a diversity receiver. Well, again, it would still be another $40 if it was non-diversity. So they're 1/4 of the price. They work fine. Ironically, there is one serious issue which you need to know about these, and it's not about the screen size. It's not about the antennas, and I'll cover that in a later episode. So watch out for that one, because we will cover those in more detail. And there's a serious issue because I like to fly fast, and you'll find out what that is at a later point. So good question about that, Bernie. Right, I am going to wrap up now as well. Pedro says, what about the EPP Warbird? It's built, it's over there. I've also got the Hurricane, so the Focke-Wulf is built. The Hurricane is waiting to be built. Very simple builds. I think I said they were like 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10. They're really straightforward builds. I've just got a collection of stuff. And again, to give you a heads up, I have, I might have, what's in here? Magnum Reloaded in here. I might have a 30-inch Wild Thing. I might have the 48-inch Wild Thing, and I might also have a Stiffy Wing down here as well. So I'm a little bit backed up on stuff at the moment. With models to build and get out and get maidened. Yeah, I like RC. Again, you could go out and spend it on beer and dancing ladies. I spend my money on foam and dicking around on YouTube. Horses with courses, isn't it? Right. Before we go, final comparison. I'm just going to put the S800 underneath there. I'm going to stick the lid back on the top. Don't know what I did with the other little bit. It's kicking around here somewhere. It's smaller than the S800, okay? It's going to be skitty, okay? We do have a big question mark around that battery bay. We are now limited to only 3S battery packs or smaller 4S or 5S packs. That was not something which I was expecting, to be brutally honest. I was not expecting that at all. That's caught me off guard. And frankly, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm a little bit disappointed. Okay, I'm a little bit disappointed that Matt had got that 3000 kV motor out, was eyeing up putting a 4S 90C battery in it, absolutely caning its nuts off. And that's not what's going to happen. So I'm going to have to wind things back a little bit. We'll end up with a smaller motor. We'll run this one 3S. Now, again, options, both the 1300 3S and a 2200 3S will fit in that battery or in that main compartment. As far as hitting CG, I don't know just yet. Okay, the CG was 145 centimeters back, millimeters back. I'm guessing about here. It should be. I don't know. Watch the space. In short, we'll take it out. We'll get it built up and out for its maiden as soon as we can. Like I said, I'll go off and take some photographs and get those in the Facebook group so that you can make your own opinions about this model. But first impressions, I like it. It's small. It looks nimble. It looks like fun. There are some good things to it. Let me just reiterate the good things. Top mounted servos, molded EPP, tough as old boots. Simple design, multiple different lids, plenty of carbon fiber accessories. The wings, again, not for me, might be for you. Good idea for being detachable. Okay, not really my cup of tea. I like my wings to be glued on and never to come off unless we smash them off. So that's horses for courses. Battery bay, that is the big question mark. Are we going to be able to get a decent sized battery in there and get some real speed out of this wing? And how will that compare to being able to put a flight controller in there and FPV kit as well, and a receiver and a decent ESC all in that battery bay? We can do stuff like that on like a Z84, for example. Okay, it might be a case that we can cut down on the top of that foam. I just don't know until I get the knife out and work out how deep that foam is. I just don't know just yet. So that's what I'm saying. Hit the subscribe button because I will get over these challenges. I'll keep you updated in the Facebook group over the next couple of days on the build progress. And yeah, happy days. We always leave off final judgment until we get this model in the sky. I've mentioned quite a few negative points here, but it might fly like a complete peach. We don't know yet. And that's why we hold off final judgment. So, it's time for me to go. I'm just going to quickly check the live chat, which I'm sure you've been seeing down here to my left. And on that note, someone said, where did you get the Magnum reloaded? Robot Birds was the answer to that, Brat. Okay. Let's have a quick look. Just quickly chatting on the chat. Right. Okay. If I have missed your question, I do apologise. As you can see, I've been here quite busy. If you do have any questions about this wing, you can either ask in the comments section underneath this video or nip across to the Facebook group and you'll be joined by over 1,600 cool pilots like me and you. There's a link to that in the video description. Also, to reiterate what we've covered, this model was bought out of my own money for my own abuses. The links in the video description are affiliate links, so if you use any of those links, you will be supporting this channel. Again, I'm going to stress something which I like to be 100% transparent about. We've gone through the positives, molded EPP, happy days, top mounted servos, could be detachable wings, not really my cup of tea, might be yours, but we've also had a few negatives around that battery. It's got a lot of unknowns right now, so watch this space. We'll find out what it's like as quickly as we can. Like I said, I'm going to go and get the camera out, get some photographs, high-res photographs for you, and I'll post those in the Facebook group. And on that note, from myself, Matt, I would like to say a massive thank you to you for taking the time to watch this episode. And as always, from myself, Matt, cheerios! And now I need to wander over there and hit the stop button. Thank you for watching. See you soon.